Okay, so carrying on with Sonia's Young Soul Saturdays, which is being reacted to on Sunday. Anyway, this over here is MercyMe, I Can Only Imagine. Never heard of this artist. This is completely new to the channel. There is a message over here from Sonia that says MercyMe is an American contemporary Christian music band founded in Edmond, Oklahoma. Never heard of them, but this is literally the first song we are reacting to of this band. And yeah, let's get straight into it. For those of you who don't know, this is catch-up week, man. We're catching up on the Summer Extended Series. We're catching, so you're gonna find that Young Soul Saturdays is probably going to be reacted to on like a Tuesday or a Thursday. We're literally just catching up this week, just to get everything caught up. I appreciate your patience. Just away for the Easter weekend as well. With the family and when the little one's at home, it's virtually impossible just to get stuff done without distraction. So I appreciate the patience. We're going to do a full catch-up week this week on stuff that was requested and stuff that wasn't requested. We'll do that. Anyway, let's rock and roll. MercyMe, I Can Only Imagine. Let's go. The movie session. It's already got a very uplifting feel.
I can only imagine what it will be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes will see when your face is before me. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus, or in all of you be still? Will I stand in your presence?
Beautiful song. I like the representation of obviously one's life, right? So your existence while you live it in the physical existence, but then obviously he's imagining himself in the eternal and imagining himself in terms of like, you know, face to face with God or face to face with Jesus. And imagine what it may feel like. Imagine what he will look like, and things like that. A very hopeful kind of song. And what I do like about the representation of the child in this actual music video is children are they're wondrous creatures, right? They look at the world very differently. They look at the world completely and utterly unfiltered. We will use filters to sort of paint the world with rose-tinted glasses, whether for good or bad. We do that to sort of create a coping mechanism that we can handle our own projections within ourselves and how we project that out into the world. And then we create these fake realities. We create these fake ideas and these ideologies when the world is there and very simplistic. We complicate it. A child doesn't do that. A child does not complicate what he sees or even doesn't see, what he can imagine. A child can easily imagine something out of absolutely nothing. They can imagine something. They can take something that's actually physical and in reality, right? And then they can adapt that to a complete fictional world. And that's very wondrous. It's something very beautiful. It what taps into our creativity. It what taps into our humanity. It what taps into what makes us so special, and what makes us so great that we're able to put a man on the moon, although some people believe we didn't do that, but so put a man on the moon, what we can send rockets to space, we can create some incredible scientific leaps forward and stuff like that. Like that comes from a dream of a single child, right? A dream, that comes from that kind of thing. We tend to close ourselves off as the older we get, but a child will look at something in such a wondrous way. They'll look at the sky very differently. They look at the clouds very differently. Clouds are a different world in itself to a child. Flowers are a different world in itself to a child. Everything a child sees does not need a complex sort of understanding to it, right? It is what it is, and they appreciate the beauty and the wonder. It's like magic, right? It feels like the whole world is just completely doing the sleight of hand trick on a child's eyes, but that's what makes it so beautiful, right? The fact that they want to explore further as they grow, and I think that's how we are as human beings, right? So that sense of imagining, that sense of wonder, even if we have to say that God or Jesus doesn't exist at all, because obviously you get the atheists that will believe that, right? The fact that we're able to do that naturally is something special. If not just for hope, if not just for, I don't know, a sense of mystery and wanderlust of our own existence and the psychological territories that we may trudge. I don't know. Anyway, I like the representation of the child is basically what I'm saying.
And in your presence, to my knees will I fall, will I sing hallelujah, will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine, I can only imagine when that day comes and I find myself standing in the sun. I can only imagine when all I will do is forever worship you. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Or in awe of you be still?
It's a beautiful song.
Will I stand in your presence? Or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory.
I love listening to music like this, even though, like, you know, I say that I'm not religious per se. I'm spiritual, and I'd say I probably am religious to a certain degree, in the sense that, yeah, I do believe in a higher power. I do believe, call it a God figure, whatever it is. I believe that there is something greater than us. I don't believe that we are the be-all and end-all of it, and I most certainly won't think that of myself, right? Because then I'll be living a very vacuous life if I think that I'm the be-all and end-all of existence, because I play straight into my narcissism. Right? I've said this before, we are worshipping beings, and if we don't worship something greater than us, we'll worship ourselves and the mundane, and that is just a recipe for a very sort of destructive and empty life, right? A purposeless life, as you're seeing in the majority of our younger generation today, who have increasingly gone secular and are completely confused to who they are. They're completely confused with their identities. They're completely confused with how to sort of structure themselves in a social environment that begs them to be part of the herd, all right? And they so desperately want to be part of the herd, essentially. So I believe the Bible is actually very important as a book for people to actually follow. I definitely think that children should grow up learning at least the moral virtues of the Bible. In terms of all the stories and things like that in the Bible, I don't know what to make of that. I'm not really a theologist in that sense. I haven't read the Bible back to back or front, cover to cover. I haven't done any of that essentially, but I do believe in a God. I do believe that there is something powerful. I do believe that there's something that we're connected to that's greater than just our physicality, our physical world. And the crazy thing is, every time I feel that I'm connected to that, my life goes better. And every time I feel like I'm not connected to that, and I sort of like just become this sort of lone wolf, the devil turns to creep in. And the devil I'm talking about, the devil in the consciousness. Your conscious can be a fucking devil in its own way. Your mind can be a devil in its own way, where the moment you sort of you displace good thoughts for negative thoughts, right? Or for decadent thoughts, let me say decadent thoughts rather, your life just starts turning down a dark alley, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can only ever think of like either good thoughts or bad thoughts. There's positive thinking or there's negative thinking. There's no two thinking at the same time. Yes, you can think about positive now, negative now, right? But you can't think about it at the same time. In order to displace one, you have to get rid of the other one, all right? The mind is very interesting that way. It's kind of like you can have a glass of water and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to mix Coke with that water, right? You no longer have the purity of the water and you no longer have the purity of the Coke, essentially. This is now just something mixed. It's murky. You don't really sort of understand it, right? So either you have this positive thinking or you have this negative thinking, right? And whatever you feed your mind is what your mind is going to be accustomed to. It's going to create these habitual neuro pathways that keep you in that alley, right? And if your thoughts are all about serving yourself, it's all about serving your own temptation, serving your own decadences, serving what you want all of the time, right? Your mind's going to feed into that, and you're going to become this person that literally has lost all purpose and meaning to life, because your existence is predicated on you being in service to somebody else in order for you to get that nourishment the soul needs, right? And if you don't, and you only nourish your own sort of vacuous temptations and decadences, then you naturally just start feeling shallow, and you start feeling sort of anxious. It's just something's not wrong, something is not right. Right? It doesn't feed you in the same way, right? So I definitely believe something out there that created us with that internally, with a piece of, call it God or spirituality internally, that's kind of like our alignment gauge, where it always tries to align you, because even when you do something wrong, that pops up, that consciousness pops up, right? And it tries to align you, and you'll fight it. Sure, you'll fight it, but reality always wins, and eventually you're gonna snap back into reality. Either way, it's gonna hurt, but it's gonna happen, right? And that's very much that sort of gauge. It's almost like a gyroscope that's trying to keep you in line and not to throw you off the rails. But sometimes you play too heavily into the devil's work, and you'll throw yourself off the rails. But sure enough, over time, that gyroscope within you, right, allows you to think of things more rationally, and it starts pulling you back into alignment, because we're designed that way. Fascinatingly so. Anyway, carry on.
When all I will do is forever worship you.
Isn't he an actor? song. The video is also really well done. Yep. Beautiful, beautiful song. Very, very powerful. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God and don't believe, you know, some people say the devil doesn't exist. And I've said this many times before. Ask a drug addict who's desperately trying to get out of the clinches of his addiction. Ask him if the devil doesn't exist. Ask the guys in the trenches in these wars. Ask them if the devil doesn't exist. Ask anybody that sort of just goes down the wrong path if the devil doesn't exist. An alcoholic, a drug addict, a gambler who gambles his entire life away, right? Ask them if the devil doesn't exist. I mean, it does. It most certainly does. In whichever form you want to choose, but it's within us. That's the sad part. Anyway, I love you all. Be so safe, be so healthy. Catch you on the next one.